It wasn't a big surprise that Jurassic Park got a sequel, with it being the highest grossing movie of all time until Titanic came in, but I think what was surprising is that Steven Spielberg was, one, down to actually direct the sequel, which was rare for him, and two, that it took a whole 4 years to happen. And I'll be honest with you guys, for the longest time, I actually thought I hated Jurassic Park and the Lost World. It's the Jurassic Park movie that I think I've only seen once or twice when I was really little, and then never really had the urge to ever see it again. I've rewatched a lot of the other Jurassic Park movies over the years, but Jurassic Park 2 was never one I wanted to pop in. Thankfully, to my surprise, it's really not as bad as I was picturing or remembering it in my mind. Still, I think there's a lot of stuff in here that makes it a step down from the first film, so let's just go ahead and continue our road to Jurassic World Dominion by hitting play on the second film in the franchise, Jurassic Park and the Lost World. So with the opening of Jurassic Park and the Lost World, we find ourselves 87 miles southwest of the original island, where this rich family has decided it was a good idea to travel what most likely took hours upon hours to the middle of nowhere just to find a little peace and relaxation. Of course, the family is unaware of all the prehistoric creatures lying around.
What are you? Is this a bird or something?
Does he look like a
bird?
But this has gotta be one of my most traumatizing Jurassic Park openings. I mentioned the previous movie will be the blueprint for a lot of the Jurassic Park films to follow, where they already start to copy something the previous movie did and have an opening kill. And the way this scene traumatized me as a child, seeing this little girl come in contact with what I basically want to call land piranhas. You can be afraid all you want of T-Rexes, Velociraptors, pterodactyls, whatever you want. I never want to be caught with these things around. I can only imagine the sheer pain these little things have on you, biting away piece by piece. And sure, while the movie goes on to say later on that this girl survived the encounter and she's okay, I call BS, cause look at this scream from a mom. You do not just stand there still in shock if your child still has a chance of being alive. But speaking of this scream, Steven Spielberg, what was this transition? I still get confused on what was to be conveyed here. Were we supposed to assume Jeff Goldblum appeared on the island and that's why the Hawaiian background is there? I don't know, but I want to fix this transition for you, Steven Spielberg. But speaking of Ian Malcom, he'll be the main character of this movie, and I don't love that decision. Nothing against Jeff Goldblum, I like the dude as an actor, very much enjoyed him in The Fly, but with everything his character is about that was presented in the previous Jurassic Park movie, he stands out as a side character. That's where he shines, when you get a little bit of Goldblum throughout the movie, not when you have all Goldblum all the golden time.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hey, I'm not the one who dumped you here and split for Paris, so don't take it out on me.
Plus, I feel like he just also feels differently in this movie. Maybe it's the fact that he's missing his glasses or that iconic haircut, but he doesn't feel like the same Ian Malcom that we saw in the previous movie. But I guess you would also change your personality if you were almost eaten by a T-Rex. In the years since we've seen him, though, he broke his NDA and told the world about Jurassic Park, and sadly, the public doesn't believe him, affecting his career. He gets a call from John Hammond where he wants to talk, where we see some familiar faces like the two kids from the previous Jurassic Park, nice of them to be included, and of course the man, myth, the legend, John Hammond. We find out, though, because of the events of the previous film, he's basically broke.
We've been on the verge of Chapter 11 ever since that accident in the park.
But how could that be possible? You were so frugal with your money, Mr. Hammond.
Spared no expense. Top of the line.
spared no expense? We spared no expense.
But we find out Hammond has called up Ian Malcom to let him know that there was actually a separate island next to Jurassic Park where they were breeding the animals, raising them until it was time to move them to the actual park. With board members of his company taking control and kicking him out, they plan to go to the island and capture a couple of the animals for a secret project they're working on.
Don't worry, Ian. I'm not making the same mistakes again.
No, you're making all new ones.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Thankfully, smart man Mr. Hammond has actually been planning his revenge since the first movie, don't you forget.
Now eventually you do plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right?
I really hate that man. And I was hoping that perhaps you might be the fourth. I really hate that man.
where he knew Ian Malcom would return to the island because he actually got his girlfriend to go there first.
You didn't contact Sarah. Where's your phone?
It's too late. She's already there.
Making Jeff Goldblum's character not even think twice about returning to go and save her. You say life finds a way? I say life is a bitch, Mr. Malcolm. But before Ian Malcom can go to the rescue, he's got to inform his daughter that he'll be leaving her with a babysitter.
Talking about it's Karen. You've known her for 10 years.
She doesn't even have Sega.
And if, like, we didn't think Ian Malcom as a character was weird enough, I can't imagine him as a father either, because look what he's done to his child.
Yeah, but I want you to crack on me a little bit, ground me or something, send me to my room. You never do any of that stuff.
This is a child that wants to be punished, that has a father so odd, she wishes she could just get grounded like all the other kids. And since we're keeping track of the Jurassic Park formula, she counts as the child point of view for this movie. But with all that taken care of, we finally see Ian Malcom on his way to the island where we meet some of his crew members.
¿Qué tipo de cuentos? Los de pescadores que se acercaron demasiado a las islas y nunca volvieron. Sí.
And look, I have all love in the world for Vince Vaughn. I think he's actually an underrated actor. He makes me laugh a lot, but in Jurassic Park 2, I feel like he just does not belong. In fact, when we eventually get to the main trio involved with this entire movie with Julianne Moore, Vince Vaughn, and Jeff Goldblum, you can kind of see this was Steven Spielberg almost recreating the same team from the previous movie. Ian Malcom turns into the common sense character that has experience with these dinosaurs and just wants to get out. Vince Vaughn is the new Ian Malcom, kind of out of place and throwing in a random joke here and there. And Julianne Moore is the new Ellie Sattler, loving these animals to death to where she even wants to stay behind and try to nurture a sick/injured dinosaur like in the first movie. And I guess that's why to me I just don't have that much fun rewatching Jurassic Park 2 because it does feel like the B-team version of the first film. Other than Ian Malcom, I find it hard to care about any other character or be scared that they're gonna get hurt or end up dying. There's just very little chemistry in between them that they don't make an interesting group.
You really came all that way in
What?
this trailer?
Why in the hell
Yeah, it was great.
doesn't this thing ever work?
You know, it's not a landline. You're not in a phone booth. You gotta wait for a decent signal.
But finally, 40 minutes into Jurassic Park 2, we finally get some dinosaur action where Ian Malcom's secret team encounters the bigger team led by the executives of John Hammond's company, InGen. We meet a couple of characters, some that are just tropes and rehashes of people from the first movie, like the Hunter character. Roland here is someone who agreed to come to the island just because he wants to be able to say he's hunted down a T-Rex before, even if that means capturing a sweet old baby T-Rex and using them as bait. And I can't tell you how much this scene pains me. It hurts so bad hearing the screams of that baby T-Rex. Come nightfall though, we see the team stumble upon the base where InGen is having all their dinosaurs locked up, revealing to us that Vince Vaughn's character has a secret ability.
I thought we'd be finished by the time they got started, but in case they weren't, he did send a backup plan.
What backup plan?
Me?
You would think from him saying that, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's a secret agent. He probably has John Wick abilities. He's gonna bust out a big old sword, couple of guns, and go loose on these people. John Hammond found a man that can both videotape and lockpick. You know that's a rare combination. But here's where we find out the plan of why these people are locking up dinosaurs. They actually think John Hammond had a dumb idea to build a theme park in an island where people would have to travel thousands of miles to. Instead, they think the smarter idea is to actually bring the theme park to the mainland and have just like an extended part of the zoo filled with dinosaurs. Call me crazy, call me dumb. I kind of gotta agree with them. If I was making the decisions, I think I would vote on the park being on the mainland instead of its own island. I know it would lead to horrible and disastrous things, but in my mind it makes a little more sense and is kind of a great idea for this movie to happen. But speaking of great ideas, I don't think it was one to let loose dangerous rampaging animals, specifically where dozens of people are located just taking orders from their company. We cut back to Ian and his daughter trying to find a way off the island.
No, is this the boat?
No, this is Patrick.
Where his girlfriend has decided to bring in a baby T-Rex because he has a cut on his leg. And look, I get it. I was saying just a second ago, I feel bad for this baby T-Rex. I don't like seeing it cry. But it was things like this that made it really hard for me to like Julianne Moore's character when I'm like, this is obviously gonna attract a T-Rex, m'lady. Even the dang 12-year-old on the bus knows this.
Other animals are gonna hear this.
Hear me?
Dad, I gotta get out of here, please. I wanna get out of here. I wanna go someplace safe.
And of course, surprise, surprise, who comes a showing up? Honestly, how has the Jurassic Park community not memed the heck out of this scene?
Mommy's very angry.
Admittedly though, an hour into Jurassic Park 2, this is where it becomes an absolute thrill ride, and it's just dinosaur sequence after dinosaur sequence. Even if at times there's some weird dialogue thrown in there.
They're pushing us over the cliff.
Oh my god.
What do you need?
We need rope.
Rope! What? Anything else?
Yeah, 3 double cheeseburgers with everything. No onions on mine.
The tension that is built up with them almost falling over the edge and their co-worker trying desperately to save them, it actually continued another trope from the previous Jurassic Park movie, and that's extremely innocent person trying to do the right thing, just getting eaten for no reason but to be a body count. In the first movie, it was the lawyer whose biggest offense was telling a kid, hey, don't break that toy.
Are they heavy?
Yeah.
Then they're expensive. Put them back.
And here, this man who tried everything possible to save his 3 teammates ends up getting horribly eaten by 2 T-Rexes. As the series continues, this trope only gets more and more gruesome. To make matters worse and spit on this character's grave, an entire army shows up as soon as he's munched up. But now with very little resources at their disposal, these 2 separate teams have to work together to find a way off this island. And you guys know exactly what happens in these kind of situations where you have a large group and tons of munching monsters around you. Some are going to get picked off one by one.
Hey Carter, I'm going to the ladies' room. So you wait for me here.
Somebody once told me the world.
The way Steven Spielberg drags out the death of this guy getting eaten bit by bit from these little land piranhas is why these things remain one of my most feared dinosaurs out of the entire series. Just seeing the way some of them are biting this guy's lip, leaving him alone for 2 seconds only to come back with a bigger herd. These death scenes are what really saved Jurassic Park 2 for me and make this such a fun movie.
Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming.
But it's nighttime again and the movie decides to give us another reason on why to hate Ian Malcolm's girlfriend, and it's because she thought it was a good idea to hang up her jacket filled with baby T-Rex blood. Man, I can't get over every time they use an actual animatronic in these movies. Just the way light hits it, the texture on it, it cannot be replicated with CGI, and thank goodness they still threw in physical dinosaurs in this movie. Also, am I the only one who thinks even if there were bullets in that shotgun, it wouldn't do a lick of damage to a T-Rex?
Oh my god! Ah! A snake!
Also, yes, I completely get it. Snakes are scary, would not want slithering down my shirt, but why would you run in the direction of an even scarier monster? Thank goodness Jeff Goldblum was out there to beat up that T-Rex.
It's coming back!
But with all these savage dinosaur attacks, we're forgetting about some of the most important dinosaurs, the velociraptors. It's not a Jurassic Park movie unless you have velociraptors attacking your characters. And this shot of the field with all of them configuring together, that's pretty cool. You can tell how much Steven Spielberg loves using the velociraptors and taking every opportunity he can to create some cool suspenseful sequences, even if that means defeating them in odd ways. Believe it or not, this is also a rehash trope from the first movie. Kid with random skill that mentions it at the beginning of the movie comes in handy towards the end of the movie.
Just sit in a room and never come out and play on her computer. I'm a hacker.
But anyway, you got your own stuff. You got your gymnastics competition. You've been training for that for months.
Thankfully though, at this location, they found a radio to call in for help and get them off the island. You would think everything comes to an end now, but we still have what probably is the best part of Jurassic Park 2, the dinosaurs coming to the city. And look, some of you more hardcore, in-depth Jurassic Park fans gotta fill me in, cause who exactly ate up the entire crew on this ship? Because as far as we're aware, there's only a T-Rex on board, and this T-Rex is locked away where a button is the thing that releases it. But when they inspect the ship, they see dead crew members left and right, one missing a hand. Ain't no way a T-Rex was on board eating people, got to fit inside the control room, and then put themselves back into that chamber. In my headcanon, I always imagined there was just a pack of velociraptors that were loose on the ship and then jumped off board before it got to the city. Otherwise, I don't see how else everyone on board died. But with that said, come on, this T-Rex roaring out to the city, having it walk the streets, destroy a couple of buses, give us a little cameo of a blockbuster, eat some innocent people, and even making some inappropriate stereotypical jokes of these Asian men running away like it's Godzilla. And look, I'm not here to cancel Jurassic Park 2 because of that. I will cancel them, however, for having them eat a dog. But Ian Malcom and his girlfriend decide they know the best way to lure the T-Rex back onto the boat, and that is using her baby.
Hey, what the hell you think you're doing?
If you really want to stop us, shoot us.
The plan basically works perfectly, where again Steven Spielberg has a little callback to the ending of his last movie with a T-Rex tiptoeing ever so quietly, becoming the good guy in the end and eating up the villain, this executive. Closing the cage on the T-Rex mama and her baby and making sure they end up back on the island. And look, Jurassic Park 2 might have a lot of flaws and it's not as good as the first film, but I think it was also really hard to do that when you lose all the magic of the dinosaurs coming to the big screen in the first film. You're just never really gonna be able to replicate that emotion and feeling you got when you saw them. And I think Steven Spielberg tried telling a compelling and interesting enough story with a lot of layers. It just ended up becoming more bogged down with unnecessary stuff where we just wanted to see dinosaurs do some cool things. Nowadays, it's very much a debate whether the second or third movie is better, and I definitely want to tell you where I lie on that, but I gotta review Jurassic Park 3 first, and that'll be coming up.
Alan.